What's up, everybody? You are listening to Come On Man, a 3% Man podcast. I'm your host, Paul Bauer, and I am on the road to being a 3% man just like you. If you're new to the show, this is a podcast for fellow students of Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man, and for men who just want to be better in general. We talk about dating, gaining wealth, being happy, and using the law of attraction to get everything we want in life. How the hell are you? Welcome back to another 3% week. I hope you're as excited as I am. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and hit those notifications. This week, our 3% brother from Arica, Chile, Jose, came back on, this time to discuss a book he recommended a few weeks ago in one of our epic group call episodes called The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. We talk about the difference between the fast lane and the slow lane of building wealth, as well as some items I thought were kind of contradictory in the book. We also go off on a few WWE and UFC tangents as well. And I'll bring you that conversation right after this. Jose, mi hermano. ¿Qué pasó?
Hablas español.
No, I still don't speak Spanish. I'm just fucking around.
Well, the word órale is Mexican.
I know. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I remember I met a Canadian chick that told me, "Oh, you eat like enchiladas and you eat with sombrero," and I was like, "That's Mexican. I'm from Chile."
Yeah. It's not all the same. It's not. That's terrible.
No, actually, it's really different.
I'm gonna get the fucking social justice warriors trying to cancel my podcast.
No, to me, I take it with humor because we make fun of Mexican as well.
Do you? I don't make fun of Mexicans. I mean, Mexicans are great people.
Since all of.
I love
For
their
example,
food.
but you do make fun of Canadians, don't you?
Well, who doesn't?
Well, the same as well. We make fun of Peruvians, of Argentinians. They make fun of us because they say that we don't speak Spanish because Chilean Spanish is it's particular. Let's keep it at that.
Got it. Okay. Speaking of Canadians, did you see my video the other day about the female dating coach that I saw on TikTok that was promoting no kissing for 3 months to women?
I think that's bullshit, man.
She's from fucking Canada.
Oh man. Oh,
nonsense. Nonsense.
The best thing that came up from Canada is Chris Jericho, I think.
Chris Jericho, yeah. Manitoba. Yeah. Okay.
Paul, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I have to interrupt you right now because it's Monday, and you know what that means.
I don't think the people listening know what that means.
But I know.
That's all that matters. So we're on the call today because at this point, like weeks and weeks ago, you were on the first 3% Brothers group call, and you recommended a book called The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco.
Yeah, to Martin.
Yeah, to Martin. And so I added that to my book list. I was like, fuck yeah. I love listening to books on building wealth, finance, investing, and stuff like that, because that's one of my purposes in life is I'm going to fucking retire rich. And but I've always been a Dave Ramsey guy, and so I did an episode like right at the beginning of the podcast called it an intro to building wealth, and it was basically all on the Dave Ramsey method. Are you familiar with Dave Ramsey?
No, not particularly.
Okay.
This is similar to I was reading Money by Tony Robbins. 3% Club.
Yeah. Shout out to Coach Corey Wayne.
Oh, shout out to this coach. He changed my life, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So Money, mastering the game.
Mastering the game.
by Tony Robbins is
Yeah.
almost exactly the same
Okay.
same plan as Dave Ramsey. In fact, I would venture to say that Tony Robbins ripped it off. I don't have any proof of this. But that's what I think. It's mainly because
proof, but you don't have doubts.
Well, I listened to Dave Ramsey's stuff first, and so then when I listened to Tony Robbins, I was like, this is the same shit. That guy fucking ripped him off. So anyway, so that's where like my mindset's always been. You know, like you work hard. You pay yourself first by investing in like 401ks, Roth IRAs, you know, index funds and stuff like that. And then I listened to Millionaire Fastlane, and it blew my mind because it was like, don't do any of that shit.
No, he says don't do any of that shit if you want to retire soon.
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, basically well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it a little bit, but he pretty much spends the entire first half of the book just shitting on the slow lane, just bad mouthing it, trashing it. It's like it gets really fucking redundant the first half of the book. It's like, okay, I get it. You fucking don't like this. Okay. But he eventually does come back around to it. So in the book, The Millionaire Fastlane, he basically lays out that there's 3 lanes in life. There's the sidewalk, which are just pieces of shit people. They have no plan in life. They have no savings. They live just
paycheck to paycheck.
They live paycheck to paycheck. As soon as they get money, it's gone. And they like life happens to those people. They don't experience life.
Yeah.
And then there's the slow lane, which I already described, but it's, you know, people that are somewhat financially literate. They start realizing that retirement's a real thing and you need to plan for it. And they start investing using, you know, usually a method similar to Dave Ramsey's. Mm-hmm. And then there's the fast lane. And that is really geared towards building wealth within like 5 years.
Yeah.
So the thing that I wanted to mention though about these 3 methods, well, I should say like the fast lane, as far as building wealth in the first 5 years, that's really about building your own business.
Yeah.
And then having multiple streams of income and stuff like that. Right.
Well, the fast lane is more of how to build a business that can make you a millionaire in 5 years or something like that. Because it's mostly about startups, for example, startup shit and whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because technology, and this is something that we can all agree, technology is like an equalizer. Because, for example, people who are making TikToks, that's a model of a fast lane model, you know, a fast lane business. Because when you become when you grow your audience, then TikTok is paying you. This guy is Steve C. TikTok is paying him.
Oh, Steve from the 3% Man Group.
Yeah, he's getting paid by TikTok.
Is he getting paid now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he makes a fuck ton of TikToks. I open up my fucking app and Steve is like literally every other fucking thing. There's Steve fucking dancing and shit. Even if you're watching, I see you fucking dancing, brother.
and this very podcast that people are listening to could be considered fast lane because you are how to say, you are satisfying a need. You know, and people are listening to it,
and it's scalable. There's an unlimited number of potential audience. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's one of the things I thought about when I was listening to it. I was like, because I've tried some other things in the past. Like he talks about how there's a lot of people get into like multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
And they think they're entrepreneurs and they talk about, they're like, oh, I'm building my business. I'm an entrepreneur. It's like, no, the fuck you're not. You're not in control of that business. Like you're basically just a sales rep for a company. Like you're an employee.
unless you start the MLM. I mean, you
Right.
it's your MLM. It's your LLC. You're incorporated as an MLM, and then you sell the products, and you say, "I'm the CEO," or "I started this company," and
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly. And he
way.
talks about people that go and like they buy a franchise, right? They buy a McDonald's franchise, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a entrepreneur. I'm a business owner." Okay, but you're not a fast laner because a
No.
fast laner is selling the franchises.
Yeah.
Ray Kroc is a fast laner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
One of the things that I found really interesting about, and this is going to be a little with an asterisk because it's going to be a little against the coach principles. Everything, for example, most people just say, find your passion,
mhm.
and do what you love and whatsoever. But this guy, MJ DeMarco, he speaks shit about this principle
Yeah, he does.
because it's a misinterpretation of Steve Jobs' speech at the university. I don't remember which one.
Mhm.
And he said, "Love what you do." And people misinterpret that and said, "Oh, do what you love." It's not the same. For example, I'm passionate about BJJ, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu,
Mhm.
but this with this COVID situation, I can train.
Yeah.
And if I was a teacher of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I couldn't. I would be bankrupt right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one of the things that MJ DeMarco definitely talks in the book. He says like you can't always just do what you love and expect to get rich doing it.
Yeah,
There has to be it has to fall into the five commandments, which we'll get into later.
yeah,
But like if there's no need for it in your area, like if there's a saturation of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and martial arts schools, adding another martial arts school is probably a bad idea.
yeah,
Unless you can somehow market to people that your gym is somewhat, for some reason, better. Like you have some kind of better training methodology. I don't know, but it's usually a bad idea to try to get into that when there's no need already. Like there's not a need.
yeah. That's a red ocean, by the way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So one of the things that we'll get into the commandments here in a little while, but so I wrote down some stuff because I love the book. I love the book,
mm.
and although I kept posting videos on the 3% Man group, shitting on it, saying how like you and I we're gonna settle this in fucking war games,
I'm still
and
waiting.
fucking let's go. No, for the guys that or for the people that are listening that aren't familiar with war games, I'll just go off on a tangent here. In the old NWA wrestling back in the 80s, Dusty Rhodes came up with this gimmick where
Oh man,
they had two rings surrounded by a cage,
yeah,
and it was like 2 to 3 teams, like tag teams of 4 guys,
yeah,
and every few minutes, one guy from one team would go into the cage and start fighting.
yeah.
And then,
Well, we'll be wrestling because
well, yeah, wrestling.
it's real to me, damn it.
It's still real to me, damn it. But okay, so the guys would go in and start wrestling, and
Yeah,
then, but the war game itself didn't actually start until all members of every team were in the cage. Then war games began. So it was like a really fucking long match, but it was like brutal. Like the guys were like rubbing faces like on the steel cage, and like they're like back then they used to gig themselves, so they were like bloody and shit. It was awesome.
oh,
And then WWE just brought it back like a couple of years ago
to the NXT brand.
to NXT, and they've had some fucking epic war games
Yeah, man.
matches.
Yeah, I
Epic war
remember
games.
I watched this match between was this where how were the guys called that came up with the Paul Ellering? How were those
Oh,
guys?
yeah, the authors of
AOP,
pain.
AOP,
Authors of pain. Yeah.
author of Pain with really strong. With what was the other team was Undisputed Era and other team. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
I was oh man. And last year with Kevin Owens returning to
I
NXT.
didn't watch last year because man, WWE with the COVID lockdown and how they handled the fake audience stuff with like the
Thunderdome.
Yeah, the Thunderdome, like the Zoom screens and shit. I was just like, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh man, you should watch it. You should watch SmackDown because it's the best. It's the best right now with the storyline with Roman Reigns being a heel and being the head of the table.
Uh-huh.
Man, it's the best thing in WWE right now.
Okay.
Right
Well,
on.
this isn't coming out. This isn't going to publish until like April or something like that. So by this time, who knows what the fucking storyline is with SmackDown?
Oh, I mean, man, Roman Reigns as a heel, he's showcasing the best of himself.
Is he? Okay.
The best that they could do is the rest of be themselves. That's it. But you have to get the trust in the backstage. But it's a shit show of backstage politics. So
Well, WWE always has been. Oh, but that speaking of WWE though, that sort of brings us back to the topic at hand, because that's something that Vince McMahon is a fast laner, and he's done what he loves, but he filled a need. Like he saw a vision for wrestling and transformed it from what it was, which was like little small territories, into a big nation, like multinational phenomenon. So
and actually he's applying the territories model, but all over the world. For example, with the introduction of NXT UK coming soon, is in the rumors. There was a rumor that he wanted to start NXT Latin America here in Chile.
You know what? That's all Paul Levesque though. Triple H. That's all his doing. That's not Vince. Anyways,
but who gets the money?
Right. Yeah. True. But someday Triple H is going to take over. Him and Stephanie. They're going to run the show.
Let's see what happens.
I think it's going to be so much better once Paul Levesque takes over, because Paul Levesque is a genius when it comes to wrestling and shit like that. Yeah.
But he knows the craft.
He definitely does. All right, let's get back on topic here though. So one of the things that, like, going back to what I was saying though, is putting these videos up. I was like calling you out on the page and stuff like that, because there was a lot of things that I felt like were contradictory in the book. So he spends, like I said, the first half of the book just shitting on the slow lane, but then near the end of the book, he starts advocating for putting your money in index funds and stuff like that. Like he was just shitting on index funds the whole first part of the book. But then he comes back and he's like, you should put your money in index funds.
Yeah, but as soon as you get it.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say because the whole time I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? And then he's like, put your money in index funds. I'm like, you son of a bitch. But, but the idea is that you shouldn't be using the slow lane strategy to build your wealth. You should start a business or an invention, get rich, and then take that money and invest it and stuff like that. Not using the investment strategy to build the wealth, because that's going to take your whole lifetime.
I remember when he said that he first sold his company. It was, I think it was limo.com, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. He sold it and he said, I thought I was rich. Then
because he had like $1 million or a couple $1 million, and then after taxes he really had nothing, and then he went and bought like a Ferrari or some shit, or a Lamborghini, and then like he had no money left over, and he's like, what the fuck?
Because you have to be smart with the taxes as well, because as soon as you get money, the government is going to be behind you.
Yeah, especially in America, especially with this new administration.
Oh man. I think in America you have you are taxed by your nationality, right? If you go away, if you go outside of the states, you still can be taxed.
Yeah. If you're an American citizen, you can still be taxed. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. When I was in the Navy, we would get we'd be all over the place, all over the world. We'd still have to pay taxes unless we were in a war zone. So like if we were in the Middle East, which was considered a theater of war still, like it was all tax-free money, and it was awesome. It was awesome. So another thing that I feel like was a little contradictory is he sits there and talks about how you shouldn't trade time for money, because time is the only real asset we really have. It's not unlimited. But then he starts talking about how when you're first starting your business, you need to fucking bust your ass. You need to like put in the grind and build that business. So you're basically trading time for money. But
At first.
yeah. Oh, go ahead. You want to talk on that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you start your business, you have to put in the work, man. You have to bust your ass, but basically you have to do a shit ton of work. For example, I think one of the guys, the same guy that I recommended the book, Martin, shout out to him. He's a Latin motherfucker as well as me, so he has the hard working style, a hard working spirit in his soul, in his blood. So he's building. He wants to start coding a coding business, start a game. I think he told us in the purpose update.
Yeah.
So imagine that. At first, you have to build. You have to start writing the code. And then you launch how it's called, MVP, minimum viable product, I think it's called. And then you test it to the market, see how it reacts. The market, I think, is the best. It's one of the best thing that in human nature that we have, because if they don't like it, they will say to you, we don't like it.
Yeah.
No one's going to buy it, and you have to improve it in order for people to buy it.
Yeah, he talks about that a lot in the book. He says you need to sort of let the market be your guide.
Yeah.
And not be like, well, this is the way I want to do it. If you're doing it a way that the people aren't going to buy it, you got to fucking change it up. You gotta tailor whatever your product is for the buyers.
Yeah. Because they are going to change. They're going. One of the things that he says the most is that you have to add value. If you want to earn millions, you have to impact millions. That's the word. If you want to earn millions, you have to impact millions. Especially in America, since there are like shit ton of people. There are 300 million, I think.
At least.
So imagine that.
Yeah. He calls that the law of affection. You have to affect people, which we'll talk about a little bit. One thing that I kept thinking about though in the book when he starts talking about don't trade your time for money and stuff like that is I thought of The Rock, right? The actor / former wrestler Dwayne Johnson.
Oh,
Dwayne Johnson started a company called $7 Productions.
Production. Yeah.
He's like one of the most richest men in the world right now. I think he's a multi-billionaire, and he fucking works all the time. But I think he loves it though. Like he loves that grind. And I thought about that in the book. Like if you really like to work though, then there's nothing wrong with like just staying at it. Even if you are making billions and stuff like that, there's no reason why you have to go and drink Mai Tais in Chile.
Yeah, that's why Steve Jobs said you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
No, not the other way around. Love what you do, because you have to. I think MJ DeMarco says it. You have to, for example, and this is similar what the coach says. That the coach says that you have to do a list of your ideal woman, right?
Yeah.
And MJ DeMarco, I think he says that you have to have like an image with all of the things you want to retire, to motivate yourself. This is kind of similar with what the coach says, and I have it. I have in my what I want to retire when I'm 35. I'm 28 right now, so I have like 7 years right now.
Yeah.
So the clock is ticking.
I'm going to get to that in a second too, because that's another contradiction in the book. So another contradiction he talks about is you have the book, like when he's bashing the slow lane, because in Dave Ramsey's books and in Tony Robbins, Money Mastering the Game, they talk about how you need to be really thrifty now. You need to save your money, eat rice and beans, You know,
Live
get
below
out
your
of
means.
use all your extra money to get out of debt, and then once you're out of debt, then you can start saving for retirement and get
Yeah.
wealthy. And he's like, oh, that's the dumbest advice ever. Don't be thrifty and all this stuff. But then later in the book, he talks about, yeah, you should be thrifty. You should save. You should be good with money. You shouldn't be buying shit that you don't need. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
This is really interesting because
Yeah.
he says that you have to be like that in order when you earn your millions. You know, when you sell your company, for example, you have like a shit ton of millions. You don't know what to do. But one of the law of economy, because well, I have a BA in business administration,
Mm-hmm.
but the basic of economy is every resource is scarce, it's limited.
Yeah.
For example, you have $1 million in your bank, you cannot spend 2 millions. You have 1 million, that's it,
Mm-hmm.
unless you get credit. But credit, you have to pay it in some
Yeah.
way
It's
in
not
the
free.
future. No, it's not free. And actually, I think right now, America, your country, has a debt crisis, right? Am I wrong?
A debt credit. Yeah. Yeah. We have, I think we're like $37 trillion in debt.
Yeah,
That's what our
that's a
national
shit ton
debt
of
is.
money, and you have to
Yeah.
pay it somehow.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I used to worry about that a lot. But I did watch this financial expert explain it as he's like, think of it like you make $60,000 a year,
Hmm.
and you have a house that costs $200,000 a year.
Hmm.
Um, you can still make the payments on that. You like with the amount of money you make, you can afford those payments. You can afford them.
Hmm.
You're not going to go bankrupt paying that off. And the guy said, think about that as far as America. America's GDP is enough that we can afford the payments on the 37 trillion. So they're like, it's nothing to worry about. But I'm like, bro, if you've ever like gotten like heavy into debt, like it doesn't get smaller easier, like you eventually have to tackle that shit. And that's one of the things I always loved about the slow lane method is they give you a really easy tool to get out of debt using the debt snowball method, which if you're not familiar with it, read, Total Money Makeover, or go back and listen
Yeah.
to my intro to building wealth podcast episode. But yeah, having a gobs of debt like that is just, it's bad.
No,
It's
man.
not good.
No, man. I mean, yeah. As soon as you get the money, you're going to you're going to be like, I'm going to spend everyone like everything like an Arab chick, you know. And it's not like that, you know. For example, he talks about the three pillars of wealth. That is fitness, family, and freedom.
Hmm.
So imagine that. So for example, you have to fulfill your soul. He talks about wealth in a kind of a spiritual way, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the best thing is that people say, "Oh, the government should do this, the government should do that," and I say, "What the fuck, man?" I mean, when the government do stuff, they do it the wrong way, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't like that. So if you're into a cause, you can run off a foundation as soon as you get the money. You don't have to ask money for the investors, because if you ask money for investors, for example, they're going to run your agenda for your foundation.
Hmm.
Example, and you don't like that. I don't like that. And and imagine that in that scenario, you're going to be contradicting the freedom principle, the freedom pillar of the wealth.
Yeah.
Freedom, you have to be free to get your own decisions. For example, if someone on your family, uh, needs an operation, you can be willing to pay it. You can have the money to the resources to pay it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why he recommends to diversify, because you don't have to put all the eggs in the same basket. As soon, and I think there was a guy, I don't remember who said it. I think it was 50 Cent. As soon as you get the money, you have to work hard to earn it, but you have to work twice as hard to maintain it, to keep it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's why
definitely.
he recommends the Dave Ramsey method. When you get the money, When you get the $1 million, in your bank account, or 100 million or whatsoever, then you have to diversify in
Yeah.
order to grow your portfolio.
Speaking of that, well, before we go on, is there someone like having a conversation around you or something? I hear some background noise.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, I'm not by myself right now in my place, so I apologize for
You
that.
tell them to shut the hell up because we're recording right now. Okay, well, we'll try to ignore it. It's funny that you mentioned that too, because in the book he talks about, once you get the millions, like you need to invest it, but he says you need to understand how investments work.
Yeah.
You can't just be trusting people to handle your money, because he talks about the actor Nick Cage and how Nicolas Cage hired a financial advisor to invest all this money, and the guy invested his money in fucking Bernie Madoff schemes, and like Nicolas Cage went fucking bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so then Nicolas Cage sued his financial advisor because he's like, I trusted you with my money. It's like, in MJ DeMarco's like, you shouldn't trust people. You should, understand those investments enough yourself that when the financial advisor is recommending something, you can look at it and go, this is a bad investment. Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get to that part. Well, I get to that part. It was a little hard to understand because he mentioned he had a recommendation. He mentioned his favorite banks and investment firms.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like I'm really far away from that part. For example, if you look at, for example, in the Coach Corey Wayne's part, it's like when he talks about the marriage part. I mean, like, I'm far away from that part. But yeah, you have to be financial literal. That's why the Dave Ramsey method could be useful at that point of your life. When you get the money, and you have to diversify. For example, in the Lover and a Fighter group, I highly recommend you to get in that group, Facebook group.
That's Benny Lichtenwalner's group. Yeah, Benny's been on the podcast.
Is
Lichtenwalner? Yeah.
With the
It's hard for me too, dude. It's hard for me too.
Yeah, you have to get in that group. I think. Look, I ask the people. So you won the lottery.
Yeah.
What would you do with the money?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said I would diversify, because most of people that won the lottery, they got bankrupt.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they out of chips.
Yeah, they go blow it. Yeah.
Blow it. Where's the money? I don't know. No habla español. No habla inglés. No, not speaking English.
Yeah, I'm in another men's group on Facebook called, I think it's called the Manly Club or some shit. And I'm just starting this group, and someone asked a very similar question, and I said that I would pay off my mortgage on my house.
Yeah.
I would pay off my student loans, and then the rest I would invest in index funds and gold and silver.
Yeah. Bitcoin is a good investment right now.
Not right now. It's going up right now. It's a good time to sell. I pulled out of Bitcoin because at the time of this recording, it finally broke the $20,000 mark. I think it's close to 25 right now. And,
but in the future, it's going to be a really good investment, because right now with the crisis, some governments are going to print money as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the reason why I say it's not good right now,
Argentina,
is because 2 years ago, when it was up around it got up to like 21,000, I think it was the highest 2 years ago. That a lot of people started flooding the market, including me. That's when I was first starting to understand investments, or starting to learn about investments. I was like, oh yeah, look at this Bitcoin. I'm going to be a millionaire. And so I put a bunch of money in Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. I think I had some money in Ripple, and Monero. I had money in Monero. I was mining Monero actually, and but then it all crashed. It all crashed like that following like January, February, and it got all the way down to like $3,000. So it was all the way the fuck up at 21,000, and it dropped all the way the fuck back down to 3,000. That's when you get in at 3,000. When it drops the fuck back down, now put your money in. You want to buy it close to the bottom as possible. But so I was chasing that knife as it was falling. And I finally got to a point where, like, I mean, I put a lot in at the bottom, but I was like, okay, I'm going to hold now. I'm just going to hold it. And once it gets back up above 21,000, I'm going to pull out. Because for me, crypto is a little too volatile. I can't stomach it. So I'd much rather be in like gold, silver,
well,
and index funds.
It could be volatile, but Bitcoin is different to fiat money.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is limited.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
as a quantity, I don't remember how many.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Yeah. It's got a finite amount. Yeah. That they're all built in like that. But then also another problem with crypto that I've noticed, we're sort of going off on a tangent here, but that's fine. Another problem I didn't like with crypto is that developers, like these blockchain developers, don't like the way a certain crypto is going. So then they fork it. And now you have like all these different, like you have Bitcoin Cash now. You have fucking Bitcoin dollar. You have all these different variations of Bitcoin that are forks of the original Bitcoin. And then it's just like, you're really, they're really like thinning out the pool at that point.
Yeah.
So this is just my personal preference. I'm not a fan of crypto. Sure. Yeah. Plenty of guys are getting rich off it though.
Well, it's right now. I wouldn't recommend it to become rich.
Yeah.
Because the time to become rich, I think, is gone. But it would be useful for you to for some cash, you have to protect it from the governments, because some governments are going to print shit ton of money right now.
Yeah, that's why I like gold and silver. It's the same type of hedge.
I think the only country that can get away with this is America, to print shit ton of money.
They're not going to get away with it forever, though. Eventually, we're gonna have to raise interest rates and start tackling this debt and stuff. Because right now they've kept interest rates at near zero for so long. It's just a big fucking house of cards at this point.
I think right now with the new president, the crisis is going to blow up.
We'll see. I'm hoping for the best though. I like to try to stay positive.
I hope for you, my man, for the best, man. Stay safe. Whatever happens.
I'll be all right. I got plenty of guns and ammo here too. So.
Oh man, well, that's what I love about America. You have like the freedom is in the culture it's even in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Here in Chile, the government, because right now drug dealers gangs of drug dealers are shooting themselves, and even the police and the military, they're selling their guns to the drug dealers. And the government wants to forbid the guns,
right? But the government's like bans guns for the law-abiding people, and then but it doesn't stop the drug dealers from having their fucking guns.
Yeah, the funny thing is that we have right now a right-wing government.
That is weird.
Right-wing, and he put us tax on Netflix, on Spotify, on Facebook ads. Yeah, it's a right-wing government. He's taxing us. What the fuck, man? You're a right-wing president, for the love of God.
Well, I don't want to get into politics too much, but in America, we call those types of guys rhinos, Republican in name only, RINO, where they run on the right wing or the Republican ticket, and then they act like Democrats and they tax the shit out of you and try to take your freedoms away. But we'll get off on the politics. This is our political show.
Yeah, don't worry.
So, okay. So getting back on contradictions in this book, one of the things that he basically talks about, and you already mentioned it before, but he says that he basically starts shitting all over like Think and Grow Rich and the law of attraction, and how he's like, you can't just think things into existence and whatever. The real law of wealth is the law of affection. If you want to make millions, you have to affect
Impact
millions.
millions.
Yeah. So, but the funny thing is about that is like near the end of the book, you already talk about it. He says you have to have a goal board. You have to see what you want your life to be like. You have to imagine having it now. That's law of attraction shit. Because you get what you focus on. If you focus on it, you like imagine that you have it. You look at it every day. Like your subconscious mind is going to guide you to get to that point.
Yeah. Well, I think he was talking about the law of move your fucking ass, man. That's it. Because I don't know. For example, some people because here even in Latin America, people they say, "Oh, I imagine the universe and whatsoever," and they're like pieces of shit, and they want to attract money and whatsoever by doing nothing, man. I mean, I prefer the law of action, or as I like to call it, and I mentioned before, the law of move your fucking ass, man.
Well, that's it. If you watch the movie The Secret, nowhere in the movie does it say that you just think about it, it'll just fucking happen. It says in the Secret that you can think about it, you can put it out to the universe and know that you're going to receive it. But when the opportunity comes, you have to fucking act on it. You have to be able to like recognize when you need to move. You need to make an action. If you don't make that action, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, man. For sure. I agree 1000% with you.
Yeah. So like, it's funny too, that this popped up on my timeline. I follow Bob Proctor on Facebook, and he's in the movie The Secret. I talk about him all the time on the podcast. And he has this meme that came up, and it says how thoughts turn into results. And it says, step 1, thinking creates an image like in your mind, right? The image, step 2, stirs emotions. Emotions cause action, and then action sets up a reaction, right? So once you take that action, a reaction occurs, and then the ball starts rolling in the direction you need to go.
Like a snowball effect.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was funny that he was talking about how like all that shit's bullshit, but then at the end he basically tells you to do law of attraction stuff. So I was just like, whatever, man.
Well,
come on, brother.
Well, you have to understand that there are like plenty of gurus.
Yeah.
Quote unquote gurus.
Yeah, self-proclaimed.
They want to sell you something, they say, "Oh no, think and whatsoever." There was like a Spanish guru that his channel was Conecta con ella. I think it's translated to connect with her. And he was like, all of his content, it was like, "Oh, you have to think and you will attract the woman of your dreams." Just thinking. That's it. And I was like, come on, man. You have to move your fucking ass to approach a shit ton of quantity of women, you know. You have to this is a numbers game.
Yeah.
In dating, in money, in selling, whatever, this is a numbers game. That's it. That's the best advice that can give to people. This is a numbers game. MJ DeMarco in the second book, I think he talks about the gumball. This is a metaphor. This is called about the gumball machine. For example, there is like one golden. People focus on the event,
Yeah.
Because they say, "Oh,
but not the process."
Mark Zuckerberg, for example, he became billionaire like in 2008, I think. But you have to understand that before that, he started Facebook like 2003. So since then, it was like 5 years. He was like, Facebook was losses. That's it. And it's still right now, right as the time we are talking, is Uber, the company, the startup, still losing money.
Are they?
Yeah, they're still losing money, and right now, the investors are putting money, in order for in the future, maybe it might be possible that it becomes profitable.
Yeah.
Amazon, for example, for how many years it was losing money?
Yeah.
Because Jeff Bezos was telling the investors that they have to focus on growth.
Hmm.
and they bought into that. And look at Amazon right now.
Yeah, almost all startups start like that.
Yeah,
They're not profitable for the first few
no,
years.
yeah,
The company that I work for as my day job that shall not be named, uh, same way. We were actually losing money for the first like 9 years. 9 years, and they finally they replaced since I've been there, they've replaced the CEO 3 times.
hmm,
And the current CEO came in a couple of years ago, and his sole purpose was to make the company profitable. And he did
yeah,
that within a year, but he was like ruthless. He was like immediately came in, trimmed all sorts of fat, like laid off tons of people, and then like really skimped down. He's like, and we're going to focus on these core products. These are what make us money. We're going to
yeah,
focus on making these great and not like making a
hmm,
bunch of other nonsense. And his methodology got us profitable in a year.
yeah,
Yeah. So a lot of that kind of stuff takes the right
yeah,
leadership.
yeah, man. So that's why I mean, well, what were we talking about? I think we
Oh,
got completely off topic.
we were originally talking about the law of attraction and taking
Yeah,
action.
yeah, yeah. Most people, for example, here, especially in Latin America, I don't know if in the States it's happening, but right now people are not moving their asses. They want, for example, think with the least effort.
Yeah.
And I said like, man, I understand that, for example, you have like your staff and whatsoever, but to get off of your situation, the only one that is responsible for your situation is you.
Yeah.
That's it. I think I was watching a documentary about this. Well, and the guys of the page, if you don't know, now you know. I'm a fan of MMA.
Yeah. Oh, we all know that.
So
We all
yeah,
know. Yeah, you're into BJJ.
pro.
Yeah, we know that.
So this guy, this fighter that is called Francis Ngannou. This guy came from a country in Africa called Cameroon. So he spoke about his father left, and he was raised by his only by his mother, and he started working like mining sand, yeah, from the river, since he was like 6 years old. Imagine that. This is a shit. This is a dangerous work, man. He was like being killed. He would be dead anytime. He wanted to be a boxer. Imagine that in Cameroon, I think there is no gyms, or there's like one or two gyms in the whole country of box. And people they told him, "Oh, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. You're crazy." And as soon as he wanted to, he realized that he wanted that. He emigrated from Cameroon to he was like walking until Morocco, and then from Morocco, the situation, man, you have to be the situation, for example, for African migrants to migrate to Europe is harsh.
Yeah.
It's a shit show, man. And for example, from Morocco, I think you have to jump the wall that separates Morocco from Ceuta, and then you get to Ceuta, you are into the European zone, and they can't kick you out,
Mm.
but you have to get there.
You have to get there first. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get there. This was a shit show. And then he go to France. He went to France, and he was living in the streets, you know.
Yeah.
And look at him right now. He's one of the star names right now. He has like a shit ton of knockout power, and he's into right now, as the time that we're recording, he's the number one contender for the heavyweight title at the UFC.
That story reminds me of an argument I got into with some guys, or with a particular guy. I don't remember I don't even think he's still in the 3% man group, but
Don't
this was
worry.
like months and months ago. It was like right when I first got into it. And I was posting some stuff about law of attraction, and
Hmm.
he was like, "Oh, that's all bullshit. It might be fine for someone in America, but someone in like another country, like, you can't get out, deal with geography or something like that." And I was like, no, it can happen. It can work for anybody. If there's a will, they can figure it out,
Yeah,
and that guy is proof. He figured out how to get out of his surroundings and
yeah,
get to a place where he could, achieve his goals.
yeah. I think there were a couple of Chilean startup that, for example, this company called the Not Company.
Mm-hmm.
They sell, for example, a knockoff, so to speak. They want to sell healthy alternatives made with vegetables, with, for example, not milk, not mayo, not whatsoever. And who invested recently in that? Jeff Bezos,
Mm-hmm.
the nut company. You can Google it. And there is another company called Crystal Lagoons, and they sell like a chemical process that make your pool see like crystal clear.
Mm.
And I think they have pools in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, for example. And you know, so people, and I think there is a Colombian startup called Rappi. They are like Uber Eats.
Okay.
For that's it. For example, I mean, you can do it.
Yeah, you can do
You
it.
have
Yeah.
to you have to work like hard as fuck and smart as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so getting back to the book. So one of the things that he talks about is hypocrisy of gurus,
Hmm.
right? So he says, like he talks about like people like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, and he says like they're selling the slow lane for
Yeah,
you to build wealth. He goes, but that's not how they built their wealth. They built their wealth selling the method of the slow lane, like with their books, with their, seminars, with their
yeah,
radio shows and stuff like that.
yeah,
That's how they built their wealth.
yeah. They have an audience, so they say what people want to hear,
Yeah.
and then they sell a course or something like that. For example, plenty of Latin American gurus, for
Yeah.
example. I mean, some of their advices are amazing. But when they put a video, for example, they say, "Oh, you should do it like this." Oh, that's just coincidence that I have a course about that.
Of
Why
course.
don't
Yeah.
you check it out?
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought about that. Like, so Dave Ramsey's story, according to his books, he did follow his own debt snowball method to get out of the crushing debt he was in. But MJ DeMarco is absolutely right. Dave Ramsey didn't get rich by putting his money in a 401k. He got his money.
No.
He got his money by selling his books and stuff like that. And then, but that being said, it's still like, it's still a viable method to gain wealth. It just, you're not going to see that wealth until you're like
No.
60 years old or something like that.
Yeah, and you have to adjust that to inflation.
Right. So the last part of the book that I really want to talk about is what you sort of mentioned already, and we touched on it a little bit, but it's the commandments, right?
Yeah.
So there's 5 commandments, and so in Millionaire Fastlane, he's got it in a different order, but in his second book, it's the acronym of CENTS, CENTS.
Yeah.
So in order to have a Fastlane type business. You need to have control,
entry, solve a need.
Yeah.
The business should be divorced with your time.
Yeah.
And scale. You have to be. This has to be scalable.
Right. So when you say divorce with your time, that means like you shouldn't have to be.
You should be sleeping and still making money.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You could be sleeping and be making money in your sleep.
Yeah.
And then exactly. And then control, like so when you talked about you talked about Steve C and TikTok paying him. One thing like MJ DeMarco talks about is like if you're on YouTube, he's like that could potentially be a business because it's scalable and stuff like that. But if you're getting paid, if they could change their terms at any time, they could, which they did a couple of years ago. They changed the AdSense terms.
Yeah.
So like now, if you want to get into YouTube, you have to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers before you can even start using AdSense to monetize your channel. But that goes into the entry category of the commandments, right? Because if anyone could get into it and do it, then you're not going to make any money. So there's got to be some kind of barrier to entry that makes it a little bit harder so that it weeds out competition.
Most of the time, this entry barrier is learning the skills.
Yeah.
That's it. You have to learn the skills. That's
Right.
it. For
Right.
example, right now I'm offering digital marketing services, and people don't know shit about this thing. But yeah, I mean, for example, one of the main commandments that I'm violating, so to speak, is the commandment of control. Recently, Facebook has been like really um, uh, blocking ads accounts. So
Mm, yeah. Yep. Facebook's pretty shitty right now. I've put some ads on Facebook for the podcast,
mhm,
and I'm not seeing a good return on it. I see that I'm getting a lot of clicks, but I'm not
mhm,
seeing an uptick in subscribers.
mhm.
So maybe I'll pick your brain after this
uh,
about
Paul,
what I'm doing wrong.
can I have a timeout, please?
Sure. Hold on a second. We'll
Uh,
pause this. All right, Jose. Everything come out okay?
oh yeah, what a relief, man.
All right, so we were talking about digital marketing, and then like just offline before we started recording again, we talked
Yeah,
about that a little bit.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so you built your digital marketing business, and but
Well,
you don't have enough control, is what you're
no,
saying.
no. Recently, for example, Facebook blocked another account of one of my clients.
Mm,
So I had to get away with some round it up, for example, something like that. So I could solve it. I could solve it right now, but I don't know for how. No, I don't know for how long.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
they're going to block it again.
Yeah, one thing about control and how changing of terms and stuff like that. Years ago, I have a tech blog that I've
Hmm.
maintained since my daughter was a baby,
Hmm.
and I've had it for years. And at one point, I was putting Google AdSense
Hmm.
on there, and I was making like $500 a month just
Yeah.
blogging, which it's
Yeah.
not it's good beer money,
Yeah.
but at some point, AdSense kicked me off of AdSense saying that I violated their terms. And I was like, well, what did I do? And they're like, we can't tell you, it's proprietary. What the fuck? And so like I've never been able to get back onto AdSense
Yeah.
since then. And it crushed me. So like if your whole business model is AdSense, you don't have control.
Yeah. He mentioned that in the book, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have control. So that's why you have to. He talks about in the second book about the productocracy.
Yeah.
So that's if you have just five principles, you have a productocracy because if people like your product, they're going to buy anyway.
Right.
So that's why people, for example, make lines for an iPhone,
Yeah.
even though iPhones are not the best products, are not the best phones, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but people like it.
Yeah. People do like the iPhone.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think that pretty much covers the book. I've already had you on the podcast. I've asked you what 3% Man means to you, so I'm not going to ask you that again. But you have your own podcast now because
Yeah, yeah. I
and
have my
in English, I was going to say it translates to like 1% best.
1% better, actually.
Oh, okay. Well,
Better.
Facebook translates it to
No,
1%
don't
best.
don't worry, don't worry. Yeah, because yeah, for example, plenty of, as I told, plenty of Spanish speaking gurus in dating stuff and whatsoever. They are like just a translation of Neil Strauss, or Mystery Method and those stuff that, for example, yeah, you can be into pickup and whatsoever. They say, oh, you have to text this and text that and whatsoever. But what else? you
Right.
know for example, yeah, I applied that, and yeah, I could land, I could get a girlfriend, yeah, and then what?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the those stuff what they lack is the lack of gauging the interest of the woman, that's what this is lacking. No
Yeah.
one is telling you you have to get on your purpose, you can move your ass. No one's telling that. They're like, no, you have to chase the girl, text this and then text that, and she texts this, you have to text that, and then no, this text this and text that.
Yeah.
uh and then like, then what? For that, I'm like in a community of a guy who's running a podcast,
Yeah.
uh, and Spanish speaking, and all of the guys they say, "Oh, I texted this to this woman. What should I text down?" And I'm like, "Man, she's telling you right away, invite me over, invite me out. I want to date you." She's
Yeah.
telling you, you know, why don't you set the fucking day, you know?
Hmm.
And another guy was asking me, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man, my girlfriend, she's not texting me. We don't have topic of conversation, and how can I not be so into my girlfriend?" And I'm like, "Man, get a purpose, get a life, be into your purpose, your passion, your hobbies, be into you build your business, you have, I know you have plenty of skills, you have to offer to the world. Give your gift to the world, man."
Hmm.
I'm like, "No, yeah, but I don't know." Man, please do as I say. Text your girl only once a week,
Yeah.
and let's see what happens.
So yours is a Spanish speaking podcast, obviously.
Yeah, 100% Spanish speaking,
All right.
because
So
mi,
so
mi, mi inglés no es bueno. My English is not good. Uh,
all right. Well, we'll post a link to your podcast in the show notes.
I
And
appreciate
if
it, man.
if anyone's listening that's
That can speak
that
Spanish.
can speak Spanish and understand Spanish, you might want to check it out.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I think that's it, man. Did
Well,
we settle it? Did we settle it in the cage? I think we're on the same page with MJ DeMarco.
yeah. Is this a draw? Is this a draw?
I think it might be.
By decision.
Yeah, there we go.
No, man. Paul, it's always nice to talk to you in this podcast. I mean, it's always nice to provide value to the people who are listening to this value, man. This only podcast is worth like a shit ton of value. So if you're not listening to it, man, move your fucking ass, man. Listen to the fucking podcast, and that's it, man.
And
Don't waste your
subscribe.
time. Yeah, subscribe, man. Don't waste your time on fucking courses of fucking dating coach. At least it's the Benny's course. This is the shit. This is the
Well,
shit, man.
well, the one thing that I want to mention, and I'm
Mhm.
going to have to do a whole podcast episode about it, but this podcast, like, there's so many self-proclaimed gurus. There's so many dating coaches out there.
Mhm.
That's not what I'm not a dating coach.
No.
I am a student, and I like to have other students come on the podcast to compare
Mhm.
notes. So this
Mhm.
podcast is for students.
Mhm.
That I don't see any of that out there. I don't see other students coming together and saying, "Okay, well, I read this book. This works for me. I read this book, but this didn't work for me."
Yeah.
That's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, for that's the best part. For example, Coach Corey Wayne, we are doing the coach free advertising.
Yeah.
I love it, man. He's a fucking genius.
Yeah, so much of his stuff works for me. I have no problem putting a link to his book and a link to his YouTube in the show notes every fucking episode.
And he's giving his book away for free.
Yeah, he is. PDF version.
Because this shit fucking works, man. And I'm applying right now Benny's method to meet girls via Facebook, and it's working, man.
Yeah.
So
Luke and I just did a podcast about his how to win in your dream girl in 28 days or something like that. Yeah.
For example, I'm like applying, the principles to send a video, and I'm from Chile. Imagine that I speak Spanish. Imagine that a different culture. Well, not so different, a different country, and it's working.
Yeah.
As I said, chicks dig the vid.
They absolutely do. All right, Jose, I'm gonna let you go, brother.
Yeah, man, don't worry.
All right.
So as always, nice to hear from you. It's nice to be in this podcast. It's nice to provide some value. People love it when I post my videos to the page. So I'm really happy for them. I'm really thankful for knowing this fucking group, man.
Yeah.
These 3% motherfuckers, they have provided me so much fucking value, man, in my life. So I'm really thankful, man.
Yeah, same here, brother. All right, I'll talk to you later. Jose, thanks again, brother. If you speak Spanish, you should definitely check out his podcast, 1% Better. Link is in the show notes. I hope you guys like our breakdown of the Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. And if your mission is to build wealth quickly, I highly recommend it. All right, man. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to Come On, Man. If you're new to the podcast, I highly recommend reading How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne at least 10 to 15 times. I recommend you watch his coaching videos on YouTube, and I recommend that you engage with other 3% men in our 3% Man Facebook group. Links to all of these are in the show notes. If you like this episode, please give us a good rating on your podcast platform of choice and share with all of your bros. Now go out and get it.